Hi, how you doing? It's been a real windy and very hot couple of days with temperatures up approaching 30 degrees Celsius, and that's just far too warm for this time of year. Although one nice thing is it gets the soil nice and warm, and perennials are starting to pop up and trees are starting to bud, and I noticed today that the haskellts are starting to bloom and the bees are busy in there. But it's not too warm for planting potatoes, and that's what I'm going to do today, show you a couple different methods of how to plant and see what other trouble we can get into as well. My name is Sharon. I garden on a large yard in a small town in east central Saskatchewan, Zone 3. Welcome to my Sask Garden. So here's my seed potatoes. I bought a 10-pound bag. It's a little much for what I need, but you know, the thing about seed potatoes is you can also eat them. I just divided them up about a week ago or so, 10 days ago. I just took them out of the bag, I divided them up, and I wanted this process to start where the eyes, and the eye is any of those little dimples in a potato, that's an eye, and I just wanted them to start shooting up. This is called chitting, where the eyes start to form the shoots. This is a little bit longer, but they'll still be fine. And I left the smaller ones, divided the smaller ones, because those I'm just going to plant just like that. And I'm probably also going to plant just a little tighter this year and see how that goes. And then I divided out some big ones. And these big ones, you can cut these and get more seed potato out of one potato. So you could cut this in half. This one would then have 3 eyes, and this side would have 3 eyes. But if you're going to cut them, you should do that a couple days in advance and let the cut part heal or dry off a bit. That just helps to perhaps stop any rot that might happen if you just put that wet cut into the soil. I think it probably depends on how much moisture you get. I have cut them and put them right in without a problem, but we're fairly dry most of the time, so it's not a huge concern here, but certainly if you get lots of moisture or you water a lot, you would want that to dry off just a bit for about 2 or 3 days, I'd say. At the same time, you don't want to plant anything that looks like it might have some disease. Now, I don't know what this dimple is here. It doesn't feel soft or diseased, but I feel like if I cut into that, there'd be a brown spot underneath. You know, the way you do when you peel potatoes, sometimes you see that. In this case, unless you cut it right there, you really wouldn't be able to see. You could cut out the brown. If it was brown under there, you could cut it out as long as whatever section of the potato you're planting still has 2 to 3 eyes. So I divided out the big ones simply because if I have far too many, then those are the ones that we just go ahead and eat. These are the Caribe potatoes. That's C-A-R-I-B-E. They're early maturing. I read that they're good for a beginner grower. I've never had a crop failure out of this. I just find that they're an excellent potato for pretty much anything. Certainly for fries in the air fryer, for just boiled potatoes or mashed potatoes. They're really good mashed potatoes. The only thing I don't often do anyway is bake potatoes. So I don't know. I suspect they'd be good considering how they come out of the air fryer when I do them in fries. So we're just going to go ahead and get planting. Shouldn't take too long. And I'm just going to show you 2 different methods. One is a trench method, which is what I plan to do this year, mostly because I do want to put them in a little tighter to each other. So I've started what I'm doing here. And this bed was tilled last fall, and we also added cow manure in here. Maybe it was 3 5-gallon pails, and tilled that into the soil. So it's been amended. I'm not going to use anything else for fertilizer. I'm not going to put down any kind of fertilizer. If you were going to put down a fertilizer now, you know, go with a slow release, maybe organic type of slow release granular fertilizer. Right. So I'm doing this part by hand. We're not tilling it again. The soil is pretty good, and I just kind of am hoeing a trench. You also want your soil temperature to be about, I think 10 C or 50 degrees Fahrenheit maybe. So this is my soil thermometer. I just got this year, and it has the ability to go down very deep. But you want to take the soil temperature where you're going to be planting. So I'm just going in an inch or two here. And this is my old instant read kitchen thermometer. These work as well. Even if it's not old, you just have to wash it off and it's going to be fine. And so I will just put that in as well. This one is not instant read, so it takes a minute, but it looks like the soil temperature is 18 C. And this one says it's 15. So, you know, I would probably split the difference and say, okay, 17, which is still plenty for planting potatoes. So we're good to go. So as you can see, the entire garden path is crushed rock. It's a little hard to kneel on. And I have a bad habit of wanting to just bend over from the waist to garden, and that's really hard on the back. So I try to take care of my back as well as my knees, and I have one of these. I actually have two, but I've lost the second one somehow. And this is nice and thick. It's some sort of closed foam kind of thing. I suspect those foamy tiles that you can buy for floor tiles, I think they'd work just as well. So this is really just a matter of settling that potato in there. And I'm going to say it's about maybe 4 to 5 inches deep. These are a determinate potato. There's determinate and indeterminate. Determinate means it grows in a sort of one bunch kind of thing, and indeterminate means it will keep growing up stem. It keeps producing all the way up the stem, but you have to make sure that you keep putting soil on for that. In this bed, after I plant, I won't have any soil, enough soil to hill, so I'm going to use straw for mulch. It actually works very well. And then I'm going to plant about, I think, 8 inches apart, and that's about, I'd say, two of my hands. Oh, I also want to mention that while I was doing that, I broke off one of these. If that happens, don't worry, they do grow back. And the other thing you want to do is make sure you're planting those shoots going up, because that's where the growth is going to come from. Some of you may have potatoes that have shoots this long. You can plant them if you like, or you can break them off and they'll grow again. That potato is actually what is going to feed the plant. Those starches, I guess, feed the plant. And so some of these really small potatoes, like this one and this one, I'm going to plant two together just because I think that I've done this before, handles it quite well. This is about like egg size or so. That's I think a nice potato size to plant on its own. This is a little tighter than I've done before. I'm also going to the next row, I'm going to stagger, so they will be planted in the middle of these two. I'm just going to have to figure out where that is. Okay, that should be good. So I'm gonna cover this up before I start the next row. And I'm just gonna mark the first 3 potatoes just with some stakes, just so I know where they are, and then I'll know where to, when I go to stagger, I'll know where to go. There's row 1. I'm going to put in 3 rows. The middle row for me is always just a little bit challenging. And so I go as far as I can. I reach as far as I can from this side. And I just want it in the middle of the bed just to start it off. And then from the other side, and then I just fix it up in the center. So even though the bed was tilled last fall, it still has some compaction in the spring just from the snow, which we had a lot of this year. And so I just go in with one of these and loosen it a bit. And then it just makes it a little bit easier to get the hoe in there. Just one more quick pass with the hoe. So I've marked these so I know where is a good place to start, which will be right about there. I just want them staggered. Once the plants start growing, it'll just give it that little bit extra room. And there, and probably there. And that should be good. And now I'll mark these. Same thing for the next row. I'm not going to plant right up against the edge of the bed. I find that those areas dry out a lot quicker. You know, a potato needs a bit of room to grow, so I'm not sure that putting it right up against the edge would be helpful. And just cover them up. You know, so if you were going to use a granular fertilizer, You'd want to put that at the bottom of the trench and then just go through maybe with the hoe one more time and just scatter it about. You don't want the potato sitting right on top of fertilizer. You want the fertilizer mixed in. I hope that's where they are. So this next method is how I grew up planting potatoes, and that's just with a shovel, digging a hole and putting in the potato. I think that my little shovel is a good depth. I don't like to get them too deep, mostly because I have lots of straw. So you just want to put this, actually I'm going to put it over here, because this is sort of like a double dig method almost. And so you dig a hole, put in the potato, and then you move to your next hole. This is so technical. You move to your next hole, and that's what you use to cover that one up. And I remember doing this with my mom. We planted hundreds of potatoes this way. And it's an easy method as well. I wanted to try that trench method this year. Oh, look, see, I did it wrong already. Oh, big fat earthworms here. And then that shovelful that I put over here helps, you know, to cover this part up. That one's got a shoot sticking up out of the soil. So there's what's left out of my bag, the big potatoes, as I suspected. Now, if I were to cut these and portion them out, I would have enough for another 12-foot row. Well, let's say 11 feet because I don't really go right up to the sides. That's 33 feet of potato row, the equivalent of. So I'm just going to give this a quick rake just to level everything out, and hopefully when the rain comes next week, none of it will, it'll all be get even moisture. That's good. The other thing I thought I'd mention is I still have my row cover here. It's not on. We're supposed to have 2 very hot days, up close to 30. So I won't put the row cover on for that, but following that, it's supposed to get cool and moist. And I'm going to put the row cover on. One of the reasons that I want to do that is for any of the green shoots that emerge, and should we have a frost, that'll protect them a little, you know, with about 2 or 3 degrees of frost protection from that row cover. And second of all, last year I had a few potato beetles, and they will start attacking a plant. The adults will start attacking a plant fairly early. So last year I did have to use netting over the potatoes, and I'm prepared to do that again this year. But for now, this will keep the cats out. This will keep the green shoots from getting frost, and it stops the wind from drying out the soil surface so badly. I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and transplant the onions. I have 75 I want to transplant in this little bed here, and I think I'll go ahead and do that. The onion starts that I started back in January, they're nicely hardened off, so I think I'll get those in the ground today. Here's my onion starts. There's a video on when I seeded them back in January. I have stopped trimming them, and I did keep them trimmed to 4 inches while they were, most of the time while they were growing in the greenhouse or in the house. But then I stopped, and when I brought them out to the greenhouse, and since I've been hardening off, I've allowed them to grow. And I don't think I'll trim them today. I will watch them for a couple days to see if they droop too badly or anything like that. I have the 3 varieties. This is the Spanish Medallion. It's a hybrid. This one is also Spanish Medallion, and I had a few of the candy. Those are my candies right there, and then Cartier. Now I say Cartier. Andy keeps telling me I should say Cartier, like Jacques Cartier, but I think more in terms of Cartier diamonds, right? So I want to jam 75 onions into this half a bed. That's garlic over there, and so this space is 6 by 4. I'm pretty sure I should get them to fit. I'm going to do 5 rows of 25, and I'm just going to loosen the soil a bit. This is very dry. After I get them planted, I will have to water because the surface is very dry. The onion or the potatoes went in, the soil still had moisture at the bottom, and I'm just going to wait until next week to see if the rain comes. That's promised, well, not promised, but predicted. And I'd rather they get watered that way than me having to set the sprinkler on them. This I can hand, this small bit for the onion I can hand water. So that's a loosen and a rake. I'm not going to dig holes here. You'll see in a second. I'm simply going to push them into the soil, pretty much. There's lots of stones in this bed. I pick them out every year and they always come back. I don't know if they jump back in. So I'm just going to mark myself 5 shallow rows just so that, just for a guide for me, so I don't get too far off. Start in the middle. And then 2 on either side. I'm just going to start in the middle just for reach, and then I can put my hands wherever I like without worrying about crushing another plant. I planted, these are the candy I'm going to plant in here. There's 15, and when I transplanted these into these containers, I planted 5 in a cell. And now this one has 4, so I won't have 15, I'll have a little less. This is the ProMix HP, and you see just how nice everything comes loose and falls away. I watered these, I think yesterday, if not yesterday, yeah, I think it was yesterday or late the day before. Nice roots on those. And so they would have had to be watered today again, had I not been, well, they're going to be anyway, but had I not been transplanting them. So that's a bit of a reach for me, but I'm just going to pop them into the soil like that. And you don't have to worry about going too deep, because as they bulb, they're going to push themselves up. But you wouldn't want to go deeper than like that white part. And I don't know how far apart will get me 25. So you just want to get them in there and fairly stable. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Oh, 15. That's right. 15 times 5 is 75, not 25 times 5. I was thinking it had to be 25 in a row, but 15 in a row, that's good. Now these are Spanish medallion. And now these 2 rows will be the Cartier onion. Cartier. I grew these last year, and I still have nice solid onion that has not sprouted at all, and they're kept just in the basement, say 16 degrees Celsius most of the winter, just in a basket up off the floor. So I quite like these. I like the flavor of them too. They're not a really strong onion. They didn't grow huge for me last year, which I also don't mind having, you know, just you need 1 onion. You don't need a giant onion. And so I like that as well. But they're a good cooking onion, and I've also eaten it raw or, you know, added raw to dip or whatever. And it's good. It's a good onion. There we go. Onions are done. I'm going to give them a water. I'm going to hand water them with a soft spray in a moment. I hope that was helpful to see how I put them in, and we'll just hope for a good crop. I have about a dozen maybe leftover Spanish medallion, so I can try and fit them in somewhere, I think. I'm sure I'll have room somewhere in some of the beds to stick a few more onion. They really don't take up a whole lot of space. These I could even use for green onion if need be. Speaking of green onion, I'd like to show you the shallots. I did a video last fall showing when, or late summer, I think it was September, when I planted these shallots. Not so much to eat the shallots, but for early green onion. And I can already come in and pick some of this, and it's tasty green onion. And when it's $2 or $3 for a small little bunch in the grocery store, this is very nice to have some of this. Behind there is nodding onion, and that's, I don't think it's edible. It's an ornamental, and they get nice little pink flowers a little later, but they're up and growing as well. So that's it for videoing tasks today. I think I do have a few other little things that I want to get done here and there, but that's going to be all for vegetable garden today. It's just going to be far too hot the next couple of days to do any of the transplanting. I have lettuce to transplant and cabbage and broccoli, and all of those prefer cooler weather. After the weekend, Saturday and Sunday are supposed to be hot. Today is a nice day, but after the Saturday and Sunday hot, and then after, I think Monday night, I probably will plant those things, because after that it's cool weather on the way, and also perhaps some showers. And so that's perfect. Cloudy, cool weather is perfect for transplanting those cool weather crops. Also the Lysianthus I need to get transplanted, and I don't want to do that in the heat either. Anyways, thanks a lot for hanging out today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, tell your friends, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again. See you.